Hey everyone. So I just wanted to take a few minutes to go over what's in store for you here in week 5. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen and take a look at the agenda. And we'll see what we're doing here in week 5. So of course, first, you got to take the week 5 attendance quiz in order to access the lessons and assignments for week 5. Keep in mind that the questions on that quiz will come from the material in week 4. So if you are behind at all, you're going to want to catch up, not only because that might mean that you haven't submitted project part 2 yet, which you need to do as soon as possible, but then also so that you can keep moving forward here in week 5 and not fall further behind. Okay. Once you take that attendance quiz, then you're going to see the review of week 4. And then our first lesson this week, and it is a required lesson. It is on drafting research papers. So you're going to want to watch that video, and the link to the PowerPoint is underneath it. So that is a required element in order to access project part 3 in week 6. So make sure that you go through that video, and it's a Zoom video where I go over the PowerPoint in real time. The next lesson is also a required lesson in order to get to project part 3 in week 6. This lesson is on integrating sources. This is also the lesson that your homework is based on for this week. So it's doubly important, important and required. So make sure that you watch that video where I go through the PowerPoint, and the link to the PowerPoint is located underneath the video. It's a really helpful lesson because it goes through how to use summary, how to use paraphrase, and how to create a good paraphrase, and how to use direct quotes properly. So very useful. So please make sure that you go through both of those lessons, not only so you are prepared for the homework this week, but also so that you will be able to gain access to project part 3 next week. The homework for this week, there is no journal this week, because remember last week we did not have a discussion in week 4. So there's no poem to follow up on this week. So no journal here in week 5. But we do have 2 assignments to go along with this integrating sources lesson. It's really, it would just be one assignment, but because I'm trying to get some of these into quiz format to make it easier for you to make corrections, I split this one up into 2 separate assignments, but really it is all just one. It's all covering integrating sources. So this first one here, integrating sources part 1, that is one of those quiz assignments. So you'll have to go to the quiz area for that. There'll be a video. Once you start the quiz, there'll be a video up at the top that you can watch where I explain what you're supposed to do in each section. All right. It is a prerequisite for accessing project part 3 in week 6. Submitting the assignment is a prerequisite. Not necessarily having my feedback on it yet, because I'm not going to do that, because if you don't submit this assignment until the end of week 5, and then the beginning of week 6, you're trying to access project part 3, if I haven't graded this integrating sources quiz yet, then you wouldn't be able to access project part 3. So because of that, it's not required that you receive my feedback on it before you can access project part 3, but it is required that you have submitted the assignment before you can access project part 3 next week, right? It's due Sunday night. The second one here, integrating sources part 2, that is in the regular assignment list area. It will be a Word doc, so a file submission. There'll be a video at the top of the instructions. Please make sure you watch that video. This assignment is a little tricky. It's a little different. So you want to make sure that you hear my explanation for it, so that you know exactly what I'm looking for and what's expected of you. It is also a requirement in order to access project part 3 next week. But like the first one, you don't have to get my feedback on it first. You just have to submit it in order to gain access to project part 3. But take both of those seriously, both of those integrating sources assignments. It's a great way for you to practice using your sources in those 3 ways: summary, paraphrase, and direct quotes. All right, so it's really for your benefit just to get practice. And then I will give you feedback on it, so that you'll know as you're working on your rough draft, what you sort of struggled with. what you might need to go back and review, that sort of thing. Both of those are due Sunday night. We do have a discussion this week. We're going to be looking at another set of song lyrics, and make sure that you watch the video in the instructions for the week 5 discussion prompt. Try to have your first post up by Thursday night so that everyone has plenty of time and options to respond to 2 classmates by Sunday night. The discussion will remain open during week 6, but remember, if you're posting during week 6, it's only for 50% credit. So try to do your best to have the week 5 discussion completed on time so that you can get those easy points. All right, so that is week 5. You have 2 required lessons here, drafting research papers and integrating sources, and the 2 integrating sources assignments, which must be submitted in order to access project part 3 next week, and then the week 5 discussion. Okay, if you have any questions or run into any problems, reach out to me right away. Otherwise, you guys are free to go ahead and get started.